That's a good song, isn't it? I like the horns. Lock it in. Turn it up. Sorry, YouTube. It's not him.
The Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming at KHFC.
Good work, Alerts.
No responsibility for its content. In the Wade and Carter Show, there's all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
Coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show, we'll discuss the city elections over the weekend, Stanley Cup half-minute, sad news in the hockey world, Astros are rolling, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. What's the weather? Going down tonight.
Let's do this.
Morning.
Good morning to you,
How
sir.
are you today?
I'm good.
Were you well rested after I'm sure was a busy July 4th Independence Day weekend?
It was a busy weekend, and yet yesterday I woke up and was like, it's time to do the show. Went back to sleep.
So you woke up?
Oh, yeah, I woke up. I wake up every morning at 6 o'clock, no matter, even when I try to sleep in. But I'm glad that we
I woke up yesterday at 5:30 because my alarm went off. Forgot to unset it.
I'm glad we had the long weekend. I hope you folks had a long weekend and enjoyed celebrating the independence, the process that led us to being the greatest country in the history of the world. It's nice.
Let's do this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the good folks at Deerland Feed. Now, I got a question for you, Ash.
All right.
I used some of that bifin,
Yep.
and I mixed it, and I mixed it a little heavy. You know, it's kind of like if one aspirin's good, take a handful, and the headache will go away. Will that work on Yellow Jackets as well?
I don't know.
I've got it. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, if you're going to take a chance, I got like 4 nests. I guess you pick the smallest nest. So
Yes.
You only have to outrun that one while it's kicking in on him. But I've got a pump up sprayer that'll make almost like a fog, you know, poof, poof, you know.
I've found that Raid just works the best on
Does it really?
Hornet and Wasp Nest.
I need to
Make sure they're not bees. We need bees.
No, don't hurt the bees. The bees are good. 75 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 81, but it's going to rain all afternoon.
All afternoon.
Now, folks, before you cuss the rain, remember 2 things. And I agree totally. Was very glad to see second place finisher, candidate, Emmett Alvarez in studio this morning. Mr. Alvarez is a nice man. Glad he came in and spent some time with Bill Posey. And he did lament the immense problems we have in this city with potholes. The rain may make you cuss the potholes, okay? Because potholes float. It's just a plug. It's like it floats out of that hole. But at least it's not searingly hot and
raining.
And raining and the plants all benefit. This is really good. It's good for our area. Fill the lakes back up, get the grass good and green, because we do know, even though it's July, people, this is uncharacteristic. This is more like April and May weather. Not even June. We're in July.
I mean, this is coming on the heels of this is what, 4 weeks after we finished about a 3.5 week stretch where I got about 30 inches of rain at my place.
And remember, we had a late season freeze. I think we might be seeing kind of a seasonal reset.
Maybe so.
Our seasons are.
I'd be curious to see where we are officially. I mean, I know they officially count it at the airport, and I'm not sure that's always accurate as far as the entire county.
Because Lenny's
but it's
not
the one place
tall.
we have. But I'd be curious to know if Matt Boucher's in where we are in compared to average year precipitation.
Can you see Lenny out there on his tiptoes trying to see that rain gauge? It looks like about 3 inches.
Because until about that rain event of a month or so ago, we were way down for annual precipitation.
I'm surprised that wasn't a named storm. They didn't call that
It lasted too
rain
long.
event Alfie.
Just hung over us too long.
Oh,
Kendra Douglas is in. Good morning. Lisa Pula, Ricky King checking in. Scott Snow, Lorena Bargenbrook is in. Amanda Smith King, good morning. Robin Moore Knipling. Justin Glass is in. Bobcat Watley, good morning to you.
I saw Robin this weekend. Good morning, Lorena.
Scott Tomko, Michelle Hawkins, Judge Posey's
Hello,
checking
Judge.
in. Bobby Leister, good morning.
Had a great evening with Judge Posey. He has 2 sons. Now, I don't know how many, I think he has a daughter somewhere. I don't know how many children he has. But Jonathan and Jeffrey had a great visit with both of Judge Posey's
Were you
sons.
trying to get adopted?
I was thinking I'd like to be an honorary Posey, but they're very fine gentlemen, and had a really great evening with them and got to tell them what we think of their dad, which was nice. It was, I told them the public version of how we respect and like the judge, not the private,
Not the private
Yeah,
version of
yeah.
how we really respect
Sure,
the
yeah,
judge,
we told them the truth.
Jennifer Rayburn's checking in. The Leisterometer is still holding steady at 1,005. YouTubers, Rena
Hi,
Shaver,
Rena.
good morning. Patrick Strauss, Adam Daughtry,
Hi,
Diane Tippett, Christina Wise checking in.
That thing's just far enough away that I can read it.
Yeah, that's good. Karen Webb, good morning. Jim Simpson, Jeremy Pena. Christina Wise says, spray the nest at sunset.
Okay, thank you.
Uncle Norm is in. Good morning to
Hi,
you, Norm.
Norman.
Jeffrey Fonseca.
So you just made me think about this being able to see that over there. So I went in and J.R. Hartman's
Joe
wife,
Gomez.
Amy, is an eye doctor. And went in and visited with her, and I was talking to her about, I said, I had LASIK maybe 10 years ago, maybe longer now, maybe more like 15.
Judge Posey says, thank you, Brent. Only the 2 boys.
Okay.
It's always good to see you and Don.
Both great folks. We had a great time with them. And so I had the LASIK done. I had an astigmatism. My eye elongated, looked like an egg, right? So they cut it and laid it back so I could see it. Man, I could see like I had never seen. It was better than ever having any, even brand new contacts. You ever wear contact lenses?
Yes.
Like it's almost a emotional experience when you put in new contacts and you're like, it's like you see so well. The LASIK was so good. And I've noticed over time that my right eye together.
Well, you're getting old.
But together I'm like 2015 and I've got great vision. But with one eye, my right eye is just clinging to being under 20/20, and it's annoying. There's a disparity between the two eyes.
Maybe your right eye's lazy. You need to wear a patch over the left eye.
Well,
When you make fun of you for a while.
I'd look like a pirate. But I would never look as good as O'Neal Murray. Those of you that went to Howell and those of you that grew up around Victoria, Mr. Murray had a patch over his eye, and he looked like he should be in like a James Bond movie. Big, great jawline, wonderfully handsome guy. Mr. Murray was a fixture in Victoria for years and years. Still lives out there off Blythe. But I went in and I said, maybe I need to have this right eye retouched, and let them LASIK it again. And Amy said, no, let's just wait a couple of years and I'll fix it when I take out your cataract. What? Yeah, I wanted to laugh as well, but I felt like labeled, like I'm old and destined.
You are
old and destined for a cataract.
Well, I think once you get to a certain age, a touch up on the LASIK isn't going to do you any good because your eyes just at that point they're going.
Yeah, super. Hey, I got that to look forward to.
Yeah, there you go. So
maybe there's something called Viagra where you could see better.
Maybe
Viagra for. Right? Great vision lasting more than 4 hours should be seen by a doctor. I take Viagra. Oh, I take I See Less for daily use. How about I See Less
there you
for
go.
daily use? So what are your quick thoughts?
What do you want to see? I see more?
Give me your quick thoughts on the election. We had about 3,000 and change votes on the early voting. When those opened up, Jeff Balkenite had like 70% of those, and there were 1,100 votes cast más o menos on Saturday. When you open it up and you've got 79% of the vote, there's only 1,100 votes to count. Essentially, the election was called at 7:03.
Exactly.
Before they ever counted the other votes.
My quick take on it is in looking at the numbers, No surprise at the runoff in District 3.
Chad Hall and
Chad Hall and Dwayne Crocker.
Dwayne Crocker, yes.
Dwayne almost 2-1 votes on Chad.
Yeah.
In the election.
What do you have?
on
40,
Saturday.
45% roughly?
Yeah, somewhere roughly just over 40, and I think 900 and some odd votes to Chad's 500 and some odd votes. So Chad's got some work to do to win the runoff.
Mathematically, I'm just being a political analyst here. Mathematically, very, very difficult road for Mr. Hall.
He's the Montreal Canadiens.
But as I told Dwayne Crocker, there's two ways to run: unopposed and scared to death. And I think that now that by the way, hats off to Lee Cantu, fine guy.
Yep.
Sure enjoyed getting to know Lee during this process.
Joe Geisman.
Geisman is a fine young man that you're going to hear more of in the years ahead. And really, Ash, if it's an unapologetic plug for the kid, you got to admit he really, really polished up over the process. When we first had him on, bless his heart. It's not always easy for people just to come in and blabber on the radio, especially when they care about what they're saying. And I thought he did a really good job. The second time we had him on, I was like, wow, this guy's the real deal.
And Aaron Franco, I thought, was the same thing from running for city council the first time back in May to where he is now, leaps and bounds. And here's the thing about that my take on the District 3 race is they all brought to light issues that the city needs to work on, and they all had ideas on how to fix those problems and come with solutions. They didn't just come with problems.
Right.
They came with solutions, and I credit all 5 of them because I don't know that I've seen a race where 5 contestants have similar stances, all had some different viewpoints on the priorities, but all had ideas on how to fix them.
And all had good points. And the good news for Victoria is we get to keep all 5 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all going to live here, and I don't expect them to go away. I think you'll still see those folks at city council meetings and offering ideas and that type of. So how do we turn that emotion of quality people running for office? How do we turn that into more voters coming out and actually voting? Well, 39,000 Victorians that are registered to vote did not vote.
Yeah.
And what do they have? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
67,000 people in this city and 36,000 registered voters. I know VISD has 14,000 students, so that still leaves what, 25,000 voters or people that could be voters?
Yeah,
roughly. Maybe throw 5,000 kids below the age of school age into there, so 20,000 people that could be voting aren't voting in Victoria City, in the city.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. Then we'll talk about the mayor's race and how that wrapped up. And caller, just hang on for a second. We'll get right to you as soon as we get through with this break. Motto Mortgage, folks, reach out to Terry Murray, 541-5454. Heard another success story the other day, just like the one you had, where, guess what? I took $30,000 out of my mortgage, and she lowered my interest rate and my payment. It's incredible. The disparity between the gap between what you bought your house at and what she can refinance it at allows you to capitalize on huge savings. It costs you nothing to call her. 541-5454. And don't get me wrong, there's a number of people that do what she does. She's not, playing hide the pea here. No. This is a very common practice. Terry just has all different avenues to save you money. She is to the mortgage business what I am to the insurance business, an independent person who can track down all types of lenders. Went Services. The weather's crazy, people. You need a generator. You need solar panels to take advantage of the sun. Lord knows it's coming. Whether you need general electrical work, general plumbing work, emergency work, call Went Services. They will come to you. USA Concrete
Coatings
and USA
Foundation
Repair. Now 578 Home. Charlie Garcia and his team will come out. They will help you. Clean your garage floor, seal the cracks, and then put down a polyurethane coating that's just tougher than any epoxy out there. You'll love it. Lisa Poole says, check your mics. Ugh, sorry to hear that. Staticky and low.
Need Mike Agra.
We're working on it. Mike Agra. Anyway, reach out to Charlie Garcia, USA 578-HOME. And then, of course, the Gray Barn, 920-6803. Cheryl will make your next party memorable.
For all your events.
920-6803.
Before we get to the caller, real quick on the mayoral election, Jeff Bachnight wins it handily.
69%
of the vote. And if you're keeping tabs, he had he had more votes than Raleigh McCoy did in May of 2019. So I think if that's any indication that Victoria voters really trust Jeff Bachnight, I don't know what other indication you could have.
And I think it's a compliment to Mayor McCoy as well. Jeff worked hand in hand with Raleigh McCoy on a number of initiatives. And I think the Victoria voters said, yes, let's continue the direction that we are rolling. So hats off. Emmett Alvarez called it a mandate. He said, I think Victoria Gate sent a mandate to the council to continue the progress that they are doing. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. BJ.
Hey, BJ, how are you?
Nelson, good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Great. Weekend, July 4th, but it was great. We were able to celebrate and making that 15 cents on our meal. That was just amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing that the Biden administration put that out there? Like that was something that really, that was almost insulting.
16 cents.
Tweeted out on Friday that this year's July 4th meal will cost Americans on average 16 cents less than it did a year ago. Didn't factor in a lot of things, but I'd be curious to see if last year's meal was priced with pork because they used pork this time around.
Right.
But the only meat. Bacon's probably gone from about $6 for the pack that I usually buy. It's pushing $9 now.
BJ, I talked to a but.
The city, after many months, the solid waste department is going to recommend their suggestions, and they've done a wonderful job of vetting all the vendors that applied for the solid waste contract. And today they're going to present their recommendations, and then I don't know if they're going to vote on it today, but perhaps they will, because the people who have vetted everything have done a very thorough job. And we get calls every day, and people stop me in town, hey, you're from the city. So I wanted to let everyone know that today's the day they're going to present that, and we will be there with the other vendors that put in proposals to hear their recommendations.
Do you know how many other vendors submitted proposals, or is that information not public yet?
I don't think it's public yet.
Okay.
Well, there's the Gambino brothers. There's that other Italian family.
Yeah.
There's
the commies, Red Trash Services.
Right, Red Trash Services. I've got a buddy in California who told me that this last week, his gasoline was $4.35 a gallon, and it was $8.99 a pound for ground chuck. So California is paying for their sins. They are feeling the weight of the decisions they have made in that beautiful part of the country that has been ruined by the idiots that live there.
Yeah.
Well, BJ, what can we do? How can our listeners help you? Help them help you.
Well, so many people have asked us, and we appreciate the support. Whatever comes down the pipe, we want to support. I guess it goes back to the election. Make your voice known, and y'all asking, how do we get more voters out? I think it starts when you're young. I mean, I took my kids to vote, and now that some of them are grown, they vote where they live now, and it's important to them. You have to start young. We have to, we start young, teaching them recycling and all that, and that gets ingrained a lot. So why don't we start ingraining in the school systems you need to vote? That is a nonpartisan activity. So why don't we
It's perfect.
that more?
Bobby Sparkler says, awesome, BJ. So everybody's pulling for you. And folks, by the way, if you need if you need trash service in the 7-county area, out in Las Vegas, Nevada, parts of Aspen, Colorado, 550-1826.
Exactly.
Reach out.
Celebrated our 7-year anniversary.
Isn't that something?
Because that's what everybody does when they've had their company for 7 years.
White Trash Site
Absolutely.
Services.
You've got that 7-year itch, huh?
They do a great job.
Exactly. So now we're making our own trash, not just collecting.
We call that vertical integration. We're going to tear it down and then haul
It's
it
more
off.
horizontal, isn't it?
Is it
I
horizontal?
don't know.
I don't know.
It's
It's
been
like
a
a
while.
graph.
What can the citizens do? You know, if you have a relationship with your city council, or if you, as a business owner, if you have a city council, contact the city councilman. I think you can look online to see who it is if you don't know who it is, and talk to them and tell them your thoughts and ask them, you know, if they look into it. They got their packet for the city council meeting back on Thursday, so they know already all the details. So, you know,
Yeah.
give them a call and tell them.
You know,
I think one explanation was that if we would end up putting more trucks on the road, and I just don't buy that argument because trash is sort of an infinite, or a kind of a finite number, right? There's only so much trash in the city. So if you've got more people collecting it, that just means it's split more ways. The
Yeah.
the same pie is just sliced thinner.
the people that say, oh, we don't want to encourage competition in that marketplace because we'll have two different companies driving big trucks on our streets. They ignore UPS and FedEx. They ignore all the people that haul petrochemicals through our city. I think it's a really, really dumb, short-sighted argument. And of course, we are 100% for White Trash Services. So thank you, BJ, for the call.
Yeah, really appreciate all you do for me personally, because I think you provide a great service and you're an awesome company to work with.
There you go. Sick 'em Bears.
I would love to see that the people hanging out the doors tonight at that, so the city council knows that it's something important, because you take trash, you just want it to disappear. You don't want to think about it. But history has shown in the past that trash is not done in uniform manner, your city can become.
Right.
Absolutely.
East Lansing, Michigan.
Have
Thank you, man.
a trash-tastic day, BJ.
Oh, that was cute. That was cute. So following up on the mayoral election, I heard different things, and of course, I've got a favorite. When you get into politics, and I like Emmett, I like bearing with Emmett. It saved you folks a lot of snippets from me that I only found out last week who all was involved in Emmett's campaign. But I found it interesting that a Jeff Bouknight naysayer was talking about how much money Mr. Bouknight spent, and that there was a big deal that, he publicly disclosed these things. He had a meet and greet down at 205, and he spent $4,000, blah, blah, blah. When that exact same person was licking Raleigh McCoy's boots. And Raleigh McCoy spent $52,000. I'd venture to say Raleigh McCoy spent more money for sure than all three mayoral candidates combined, maybe more than all 8 people involved in this election combined. And Raleigh McCoy, he loves the South Side. He's the greatest thing ever, according to this deranged and hypocritical, ignorant woman. But all of a sudden, we're going to blast Jeff Bouknight because he had a meet and greet at 205 over $4,000. I just find the hypocrisy of the extreme left and the bipolar left very interesting. So there's that thought.
Well, and comes from, to me, someone very uneducated in the process. It costs money. Signs don't print themselves.
Right.
Door hangers, the materials just to get your platform up, they don't print themselves. There's a cost to doing it. There might be a filing fee. I don't know. Haven't run for mayor.
So let me ask you a question.
But I'm with you there. Considering that he spent less to get more votes than Raleigh McCoy did, I would argue he's pretty economical with this campaign spending. If you can outperform,
absolutely,
and do it for less, you're doing something right.
Well, I joked with Jeff that we played a game in town called Spot the Bouknight Sign, that there were like 6. He didn't. First of all, he's got a record. He let that record at city council speak for itself. I think he's going to be a fantastic mayor. And I do think, and I've said this to him, I do think that Jeff Bachnight had his eyes opened by the arrival of a can-do and let's do it now city manager in the form of Jesus Garza. Folks, you'll never know. You'll never know how hamstrung this city has been as when Charmel Garrett was our city manager. Just tragedy. And then to have Raleigh come in and seek to unite people and seek to have everybody pulling the boat in the same direction or rowing the boat in the same direction, that's progress. And Jeff, that touched Jeff. And he's told me that because people used to label him a Paul Pulasic disciple, and which to me is a disciple of paralysis by analysis, not doing anything. And Raleigh McCoy came in and said, hey, let's get some things going. And I think Jeff proudly adapted and learned from that. And I think you're going to see the city continue to go in the right direction.
I hope so. I think voters are ready for it.
Yeah.
What did I see? Matt Oker commented up here. Rather than focus on increasing the vote, we should focus on informing potential voters and curing their apathy.
I agree with that, sir.
But part of it's also on the individuals. And we talk about this every election cycle, at all levels that, well, what can we do? What can we do to get more people to vote? What can we do to increase voter turnout? That's part of the problem with society today. Nobody's responsible for their decisions or indecisions or lack of effort. It's all on somebody else to get them moving and going and voting. There's as much responsibility on those sitting on the sidelines not doing anything to become more involved in the process and educate themselves to be and go through the process to become registered to vote and then go vote. It's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street that it's all on the candidates or those participating in the process. Those sitting on the sidelines who don't vote have as much a responsibility to get involved and become part of the process to vote.
Well, I think though as a candidate, it's like the Holy Grail, right? You're like, if I could find a way just to motivate 5,000 of those 31,000 who just didn't vote to come vote for me, I could win any election in this county. Think about that. There's 31,000 people who are registered to vote who had weeks that they drove down Navarro. They did.
Yeah.
All you had to do was pull in there and go in and take your cotton swab. There's 2 votes max, 1 for mayor, 1 if you happen to live in District 3. Can you imagine if you could just motivate 5,000 of those people to vote for you? Hey, guess what? I won. Uh-oh, I won. But it's an amazing thing that a city, I don't know if these folks that aren't voting, if their parents didn't vote or if they got disenchanted, like some people are like, it doesn't matter what you vote, they're still going to give you the same guard. If it's that, and if it's true ingrained apathy.
Or they understand the system and that our city manager really runs things and the mayor doesn't have the control. So they're sitting there, wow, what does it matter?
No, I agree with that too.
I don't know.
But you got to, again, hats off to these folks for running, and David Crook, hats off for David for running as well. I read a couple of comments David made the other day that were probably ill-advised. I guess if I'd have spent more money. No, David, that wouldn't have made a difference. But I appreciate you running. It just shows that, hey, if you've got a voice and you want to make a difference, get out there and do it.
I think what it shows is the voters, 70% of the voters like the job that Jeff Bachnight did as a councilman, and they're going to trust him to be the mayor. That's what that tells me.
It does to me too.
So,
folks, as these roads are wet this week, watch out, period. If you get in trouble, if you live in a ditch, if you end up stuck at a low water crossing, call Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300.
It's fallen hard and in buckets. We had 2.5 inches at the 2-4 on Saturday afternoon in a half an hour. That's the type of water that'll push you off a road real.
That's that deal where we drove yesterday, and it's like it can't rain this hard for very long. I mean, it's just falling out of the sky. The cloud fell out of the sky. It can't do it for very long, but when it does, it can slide you out the road. And this is we don't have a dog in this fight, folks. Check your tires. Rotate your tires every 5,000 miles, and if you've got the best tread on the front, you need to put a little tread on the back as well to make sure. You've got to make sure that you've got enough tread to keep you on the road.
Yeah.
578-6300.
BCS, Rocket Oilfield Services, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer.
Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off Main Street. The Hartman family is there to help you with all your communication, surveillance, suppression, security needs. If it communicates, if your security system communicates with authorities, VCS. If your employees communicate with your main office, VCS. If you communicate with your kids on your iPhone Pro 12
85?
Max, Orgasmo phone, VCS. Reach out to the VCS companies for all your communication needs. Bobby Leon and his family, Chesnick Furniture Company.
116 West One Lynn.
101 years in downtown Victoria, 70 at their current location. Finest people in town. Go see Bobby Leon. Tell him that we sent you. It matters. Tell him Wade and Carter sent you. You can pick up a best recliner, love seats, sofa, dining room, suites, tables and chairs. Go get it. Chesnick Furniture.
All the accoutrement you could ever.
I love it when you talk French. Over 100 years in downtown Victoria. Bobby Leon's family has been there. We've got a caller coming in. And today, this is the day that the Lord has made. Veracruz open again, folks. Get in there and get to Veracruz. Tell Lee and Ida that Wade and Carter sent you.
You can warm up for Caldo Wednesday today with maybe drowning enchiladas.
Yeah, and remember when you go to Veracruz and you mentioned Wade and Carter, yesterday they were giving away free lunch. Yeah. Good morning, caller. Help us.
Good morning. Good. What's happening?
Amen. Amen, sir.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
that.
it.
I
Thank you
do
for that.
appreciate that.
Yep. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the call. Thank you for exercising your right to vote.
And a fine attitude right there. I mean, and, it doesn't mean that you vote because it's not a popularity contest. I think there's a lot to be said for voting for who you think can actually get something done. And I'll go out on a limb and tell you, I think Emmett Alvarez could have gotten some things done too. I do. Emmett knows the system. He knows how to run things through the system. I just think that Jeff Balknight is the right guy at the right time. And I do know for those of you that were very pleased with Raleigh McCoy that Jeff has expressed very unashamedly that he supported Raleigh's ideals and he wants to continue the momentum that Raleigh initiated. So that's a good spot.
Absolutely.
I think we're doing good things there. I didn't have the opportunity over the weekend. I joked with the family. Dawn and I have been walking a lot. And, she trots some, but I just walk. And I had the opportunity. I was joking with a family came through. They were riding their bikes, and little girl was out front, and she's going, she's pedaling along, but the mom and dad were just kind of going back and forth behind her, because she's pedaling, but she's slow. And I told the dad, I said, you see that? That's socialism. She's out front. Y'all are kind of lagging along behind. And I said, capitalism is when dad gets out front and challenges her to keep up. That's capitalism. And I think that's a very good visual for you folks to think about, that the little girl was doing what she could do. She wasn't lazy, but we're all going to the same place and we'll all get there at her pace. That's socialism. And capitalism is when the leaders lead. Capitalism is when those who can do. And that little girl goes, wow, I'm not as fast as daddy, but I'm faster than I've ever been. And that's how you say all ships rise on an incoming tide. And that's capitalism.
Wow. On that note, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Die, you commies!
The Red Scare. We can't go. We've got capitalistic ads to do in a minute. Astros.
I was going to say, speaking of doing, just took playing a team that's actually doing something for the Astros to get off the schneid and put together a four-game win streak and sweep the Indians, who were, I think, leading the AL Central.
It's crazy. The Astros play teams that are below 500, and they play down to their level. And then when the Astros play a good team like the Indians, by the way, the Indians, though, bless their hearts, they've lost like 9 in a row. But which the Astros have done at times too. The Indians, this is a little fun fact.
We had lost 5 in a row or 4 in a row going back to, and 2 or 3 to the Tigers,
who are not good. Neither Orioles and Tigers.
And then we got swept by the Orioles and got hammered by the Orioles. But then we go and we beat the Indians in 4 straight.
Did you know
convincingly?
That's the first time ever. Baseball has so many stats. But when you hear a first time ever, it's usually pretty rare. Now, we've only been in the American League, what, 10 years? How long have we been in the American League, Astros? Not even 10 years.
No, maybe not. Yeah, probably not 10 because we were in the 2005 World Series is still in the National League, right?
Yeah, so that's 16 years. But that's the first time ever that the Astros have swept the Indians in a 4-game series. Ever.
Really?
Yeah.
They liked your analogy.
Yeah. Matt Ogre says, okay, Brent, now stop referring to politicians as leaders. They are not. Now, see, I would disagree there, and here's why. They are leaders of public opinion. I know what you're saying, Matt, and I agree. And Matt and I agree on so much more than we don't, although I'm just so much more likable.
And I think some can be.
But
I think some can be.
You just let that go by? I threw out a straight line there for you. Okay. Although Matt's very sharp, and I go to Matt for lots of advice on things, maybe not checking account, but on lots of stuff I talk to Matt. And my question is, I think that or my statement is, I think that politicians can be leaders because they're leaders in momentum and public opinion. And for example, and it leads us right into something we want to talk about. Quentin Shepard, if Quentin Shepard leads in the right way, although he's not an elected official, if he leads in the right way, he might sway the Victoria voter to approve a bond for him. That's the kind of leadership I'm talking about. I'm not saying, come on, we're all going to street down to the quad. Everybody's doing it. What did JP Hall say? Did I miss the?
He said that he missed the hockey minute.
Not yet.
Took all his powers not to call me last night during the game. We'll get to that in a minute, John Paul. Don't worry, it's coming.
We're missing some good comments here, I think, from people that. So who liked my analogy? Because that matters to me. I appreciate that.
Adam Sugar liked it.
Thank you.
Amanda Smith King liked it.
Thank you.
Steve Kidder says that Dad was leading from behind.
Right. And that you know what? And that's by the way, that's something that like the Green New Deal people would say. Yeah, we're leading from behind. I saw a deal the other day, and now think about this. It took like 4 hours to charge an electric car to get it to go 200 miles. And the charger was a diesel generator. So a diesel generator had to run 4 hours to get a car to drive 200 miles on electricity. The diesel generator.
So the diesel generator ran 4 hours for a car to drive 4 hours.
And in 4 hours, I could have already been where I was going.
Yeah.
And it only charges one car at a time. Folks, the idea of this electric car, meet George Jetson, it is a folly. And
I saw a video over the weekend of some guy trying to gas up his electric car.
Yeah, I like that.
In the carport.
He was confused.
Yeah, absolutely confused. And it's probably, I think Aussie Man Reviews was providing the commentary. So he's not awesome. Safe for radio.
No, but he's funny.
Yeah, but no, it was pretty good. But that's how.
Have you ever seen the video where the guy pulls in and like his fuel filler is on the right side and he pulls in, he gets out and goes, hey, okay. So then he just drives around and he's like, hey, I can't figure this out.
shouldn't be behind the wheel. These people should not be behind the wheel.
There you go. Jeff Fonseca says Yorktown people have bake sales to support their leaders.
Yeah.
Jim Simmons says Ash, sad story out of Columbus with the loss of the goalie.
Yeah, hit by
more
one.
in the chest. Yeah, that's a sad
We're gonna
deal.
take our break and then get to that segment of the show because there's a lot. We still got lots to cover.
We'll address that when we come back. Atzenhofer, since 1926, just quite simply Victoria's dealership. Whether you want a new Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, or Chevrolet, or you already own a car. Everybody drives a used car. Go by Atzenhofer. They service all makes and models. When your husband dings your car, ladies, take it over to Atzenhofer. They can touch it up. They can paint it. They'll inspect it.
They'll service it. They'll change the oil while they're at it.
Inspect, detect, and reject. Come on, get to Atzenhofer. Atzenhofer.com is your shopping nirvana. Sit at your desk. It's Tuesday after a holiday. Nobody's working today. Come on, people. We talked about white trash services, Razor IT Solutions, JP Hall. Here's a classic example. Bill Posey show wants to be on Facebook. They need a way to interface with the internet. He asked me today, who would you recommend? Who could I call? Who would help? I said, JP Hall, Razor IT Solutions. He said, oh, what, $300 an hour? I go, probably less, but it won't take more than an hour. It won't
It's money
take
well
more
spent.
than an hour.
You have to invest in yourself.
Absolutely. The law offices of Steve Kidder. I try to think of a creative way to say it, but if you've got a contractual issue or you've got a partner that you want to really lock down, maybe it's too good a partner. You don't want to lose them. You want to contractually make sure that your partner's forever. Maybe you want to get married. Maybe you're thinking about a will or a trust, or you want to adopt a baby. There are so many ways that a lawyer, don't think Matlock. Don't think we're not in the courtroom. We're trying to avoid a courtroom, and the best thing to do is have a relationship with a competent lawyer. Steve Kidder will help you find that lawyer. Reach out to the law offices of Steve Kidder. Complete
there.
Complete
Steve will appreciate that
360.
too.
Whether you need to be at the health bar for a panini or a wrap, or you need a smoothie, Complete and the health bar right here on Red River are your places to go. Fantastic. I mean, Dawn and I eat there all the time. It's like in the loop. Go by and split a panini.
I like that adobo turkey.
Oh, it's
It's
fantastic.
my favorite.
And I'll tell you something, it's rare to find a really good attorney with a sense of humor. Steve Kidder is that guy. You folks should reach out to him. If you want to do some contractual work, or if you've got a question.
Any legal issues.
He's not going to bill you if you call him with a question, because he knows that someday you're going to need him. And when you do, you'll reach back out. So call Steve Kidder today.
And welcome to the Wade and Carter portfolio.
Oh, AJ's
Detailing.
Detailing. My goodness, folks. Many of you folks know this. You can go to your Facebook and type in AJ's apostrophe S Detailing, and you'll see
Possessive.
my car on there. He did stuff where my car's always clean. You can ask Ash. It's always clean.
Always.
And I left it there.
Because he doesn't allow kids to ride.
Yeah, my kid suck those French fries down in the parking lot. You can't believe the difference that just the treatment of the leather and the stuff that he did inside. It just smells like it's brand new.
Yeah. Go
Check out AJ's Detailing. And I'm going to have more for you in the days ahead. Ash and I are working directly with AJ. He does ceramic coating. This is like beyond the rage. This is like the newest deal where instead of putting wax on, basically it's like coating your car with Teflon. Water doesn't just beat up. Water goes, I can't get on there. It runs away.
This rain we're going to have this afternoon goes the other way.
And for people that take care of your vehicles, people that require that your vehicle be clean, unlike my partner from the 2-4 Ranch to my right, you'll find that it's very satisfying. And AJ is that guy. It's like he's an artist. He cares about his name on your vehicle. So we'll have more details for you in the future. We're going to promote him a lot on Facebook.
More details about the detailer.
There'll be more details about the detailers. Absolutely.
Very
awesome.
Excited. You're going to yank this thing off.
No, I'm not going to yank anything off right here. What are you talking about?
Stanley Cup Minute. Let's get to the good news first. Montreal Canadiens win in overtime 3-2. Very good game.
You had them sweeping, right?
No, I had Tampa Bay winning in 5.
Okay.
So there's still a hope for that. But, I mean, and here's the thing. I wasn't cheering for either team in this one until yesterday when Tampa Bay's idiotic mayor spouted off and suggested that Tampa Bay shouldn't win in Montreal for game 4. Forget the sweep. Let them win so
we
you can
win
come
at
home and win it on home ice in front of a full stadium, which this just reeks of somebody who's never played a competitive sport
Yeah, that's
in her
dumb.
life. And as mayor, imagine that. Well, you know what, Mayor? Give up the early voting and you can win it on the in-person voting.
Yeah.
That's a similar analogy and strategy. And now I'm hoping Montreal wins
I
this
am
thing
too, 100%.
simply because she was such a moron
Amen.
to suggest something like that, because anybody who's ever played anything competitive knows when you have a chance to win, you win.
And you don't give the other team bulletin board material. You
No.
don't let the coach go, really?
And I'm not a big believer in bulletin board
Ah,
material.
boy,
Some
I
can, some do.
I am.
I've always, if you can't fire yourself up for a game,
And I agree with that.
I've never needed somebody else to fire me up to play or compete at a high
Well,
level.
that's because you weigh $145, and if you're not really up, you can get hurt.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But the truth is, these guys. I mean, it's like I put on your post. I said they're all professional athletes, and now you probably upset them. You know, like I can see if you're checking somebody into the boards over there, you might say, "Tell your mayor hi." You know.
Well, Montreal finally got a lead yesterday. They scored the first goal, the first lead they've had in the series in 4 games. Outside
They
of maybe,
haven't scored. They've been shut out.
no,
for
they've
3
scored,
games.
but not much.
Wow.
I think they'd only had maybe a goal a game. Maybe they've scored twice. I don't know. They hadn't done much offensively. The guys that should be going for them haven't done it. Tyler Toffoli has been kind of quiet. Brandon Gallagher has been quiet. Shea Weber hasn't done much. But might have been like the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. You might have woken the sleeping giant in the Montreal Canadiens. And that may not be a good thing going back to Tampa, because now the one thing that was in Montreal's mind yesterday going into that game was, man, everything's going against us. Can we win? Can we do it? Well, now they know they can do it. They can beat you. So now they've got a little more confidence going into game 5 Wednesday night in Tampa Bay. And if they win that one, they go back home for game 6.
Yeah.
And just to put it in perspective, Montreal's won 24 Stanley Cups. The only time they have ever lost a Stanley Cup on home ice to the Calgary Flames in 1989. The Flames are still the only team to have ever hoisted the Stanley Cup in Montreal.
I knew that somehow you would find a way to tout the prowess of your favorite club.
No, because there is no prowess with my Flames these days. They're terrible.
There's a side conversation going on here. They're talking about windmills. I do want you folks to understand that the windmills that are in service actually do produce a percentage, like 15-20% of the overall electricity used in our state. But I do want you to understand that 90% of that windmill is made with petroleum products. If you took all of the distillates that it takes to make the windmill, and you actually had to,
and let's be honest, every piece of that windmill has been touched by petroleum at some point.
if you had to recoup
Can't
the
forge
actual
the steel
cost,
without it.
you can't. It will never, ever pay for itself. It is not like this idea of the perpetual motion thing. No windmill will ever. Here's some sick trivia for you. The people that put the windmills up, when you put one up there and like the generator burns up, they don't go replace the generator. They replace the entire windmill. Why, Brent? Because the windmills cost, say, $500,000 a piece, let's just say. 400,000 of that comes as a subsidy from the federal government. The other 100,000 is less than what the generator costs. So it's cheaper just to put up another windmill than repair the one that's there.
Yeah.
So, hey, Brent, what happens when over time all these generators go out? Well, as long as the government is perpetuating the myth, they'll keep putting up more windmills. But if they decide not to, then you're going to have a bunch of windmills standing around with burned up generators. It's a joke. It's a joke.
And the lifespan they say is 20 years. I'm not buying that either.
There's Victoria's Finest giving somebody a warning, no doubt. Certainly not a ticket.
No. But sad news out of Columbus. Jimmy Simpson was referring to this.
Yeah, this is sad. And Jimmy's from Columbus. So.
Yeah. And the Columbus Blue Jackets had a young goaltender from Latvia, Matis Kalenics. I think I'm pronouncing that right. and he was out celebrating the 4th of July at a party in a hot tub, and they were firing off mortar-based fireworks, and the mortar got tilted, and as they were trying to escape the hot tub, initially the report was he slipped, hit his head on the concrete, and that caused his death. What happened was apparently the mortar-based firework hit him right in the chest, and that trauma caused him to die. And I think he was pronounced dead when they got him to the hospital. It didn't take long for first responders to get there. So
I've been looking into that because, like you and I
Yeah.
both agreed, I don't know much about hockey, but I know a little bit about fireworks. Those mortars are very, very stable, and the idea that that thing fell over just in time to hit him in the chest makes me want to go looking for a perp. I'm like, really?
yeah, I
Who
hate to
did
say
that
it.
to
I
the
think
guy?
somebody thought it'd be probably drunk and funny to shoot
Yeah.
that thing towards the folks that were
Yeah.
at the party. And I think that, I bet you when it's all said and done, that's probably likely what happened. Or they set it up on such a unstable surface to begin with.
Yeah. If he was in a hot tub, it
Yeah.
sounds like there might have been some booze involved.
I'm thinking if you're in a hot tub, you duck under the water and come up for a breath. every
Unless
once
he
in a
was,
while.
that's scary stuff.
Yeah, but not good.
It's-
Not
well,
good
you
at
look
all.
at the
It's sad.
guy,
24 years old, played 2 games in the NHL this year. I think he'd had about 8 games in his entire career. But next year, they figured he was going to have a legitimate shot to be the backup goaltender, at least a shot.
What was
Right.
the guy's name for the Giants? John Paul Pierre, whatever that defensive
He
defensive
shot
end?
himself in the leg.
No,
or
that blew his hand
blew his
off.
hand
Remember,
off,
was
yeah.
messing with fireworks. Crazy.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, there is, unfortunately, it is. There can be some danger.
It's a
on the 4th of
tragedy.
July, and it is a tragedy. I mean, you don't hear somebody dying from fireworks, but man,
No.
it's just 24 years old and had a whole career and life ahead of him. And
What do you think I did that makes
No
our
more.
banner look so low? It's like our banner's at an angle.
the camera,
Hmm.
Jason Paul. There you go. That was the name.
Jason
Jason
Paul.
Thank you. So, yeah. So that was Roger Federer. If you're a fan of Wimbledon, Roger Federer looked pretty good yesterday.
Now,
Slow start in the first set.
did he win? I mean, how much further is it? Is it over? Did he win?
No, he hasn't won it yet. He's to the quarterfinals now.
Honestly, what's he won it like 15 times?
Something like that. I don't know. He needs this one, I think, to get past Sampras, right? Isn't he tied with Sampras for the most career Grand Slam victories?
Yeah, and you were the guy though that you thought for a while that Pete was arguably the greatest tennis player ever. I mean, I know it's not Jimmy Connors, although we liked Connors. I know that the numbers may say that it's not McEnroe, although he was easily the most enjoyable guy to watch. I loved watching McEnroe throw a fit and do the stuff he did. But then you come along, and Bjorn Borg, of course, was the most fluid and beautiful to watch in what he did, playing that Dane, wooden racket. Remember that thing?
Yeah. Connors was the first, I think, to use an aluminum.
Yeah, Wilson, like
Yeah.
a T2000 or something they called it.
And then Yvonne Lendl came along and was just
Lendl,
dominated
big
everybody and was,
Eastern Bloc communist,
Czech.
just killing the ball.
but had about as much personality as a piece of
Yeah.
white paper. And so,
I had fun.
so I think,
Nice.
Thanks,
Thanks, Yvonne.
that hurt him, but he was probably to that point was probably the greatest. Then Boris Becker came along and was kind of like
German kid.
he was the German Andre Agassi. Played hard,
Legit.
not afraid to let his emotions get out there. Didn't have the hair, but always was diving around. Didn't matter what surface he didn't care if he had to dive to make a shot.
We found out later Agassi didn't really have the hair either. It was like extensions or something. And then Agassi
No,
came
once he
along,
cut it, he realized there was nothing left up there.
good player. And then what's the kid's name from Austin? Short hair, good player, really good player. Big
Jim Courier. Is that him? No.
No, he's the American that played.
Yeah.
He was like 63 years old. I think about the guy with the big serve. It doesn't matter. He was not in that level. So you're
Michael
thinking
Chang
though,
was fun to watch as well. Matt Over
Yeah.
says.
So you're thinking though that that Sampras though, who also wasn't the most exciting guy on the planet,
No.
was probably the best overall player.
Yeah, until Roger Federer came along.
And Federer, of
Some could
course,
argue maybe Rod Laver. You go back far enough.
Nah. Then you start looking at guys like so Federer is obviously the king of grass. Djokovic, right, is the king of clay. Who's the guy that always wins the French?
I think that's Nadal.
Nadal.
Rafael
And
Nadal.
what's weird is it did seem like it was just the other day that Nadal came along and beat somebody that shouldn't have gotten beat on clay. Oh, wow, this Nadal guy beat him. And then he just like won it for like 15 years in a row.
Yeah. And Djokovic, I think, I think Djokovic and Federer may be the two best all-around players because they seem to, I mean, they can play on any surface. And Federer's getting older too.
Oh yeah, he's got to be 30. No,
No, I
I think
know.
38ish.
He's pushing it.
He took a couple of years off. There's two guys that I go, I wonder how they do, in life. Federer being unbelievably loaded and looking like Jeff Gordon and Tom Cruise rolled together and being Swiss. I think Federer probably does pretty good with the ladies, I'm going to think. And the other one is
married.
Yeah, well, she's an understanding girl. The other one is that Adam Scott, who, sponsored by Rolex and Mercedes-Benz, and he's Australian. He was tall, good looking, has Tiger's original swing. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah, there we go. Federer and Nadal each have 20 Grand Slams. Sampras had 14. Djokovic has 18.
How old is Federer?
Good question.
He's going to be 40.
The brother man just strolled in. Hey, strolled in.
It's not
straight up the
Thursday.
street.
You can't be bringing out stuff on a Tuesday.
The
That's
great
Thursday
one himself.
material.
He's going to be 40.
Brother Gary Moses strolls in straight down the hallway, unsolicited, just looks to his right and deftly tosses out, he'll be 40 on his next birthday. Is that unbelievable? The brother man bringing it on a Tuesday. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Take a moment with us. Don't you eyeball me. It's the brother.
No, I'm not eyeballing you. I was trying to
Hello, my
look
friend.
for something else here.
Morning, sir.
It was got to see you a couple of times this weekend. It was very enjoyable.
Always.
Ash and I have both talked about the positivity of 5 Victorians being involved in the councilman's race, and all 3 gentlemen being involved in the mayor's race, and saying we think Victoria's in good hands with these people that care enough to get involved.
And I say that too. They cared enough to get involved, and that's very important for all of us here in Victoria. And they were all good guys. When we heard about, I went to a couple of the forums, and they were all
Right.
talking with great knowledge of the city.
Yes.
I mean, at some of the young age.
Yeah, really nice people. What are you and the Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar going to talk about today?
Well, we got the General. Did you hear the General's coming in for a doubleheader tomorrow? You heard that, Ash?
Yeah, they're going to play. They got rained out in Baton Rouge, so they're going to play doubleheader against
The
a team.
Rougarou,
No,
San Antonio.
the
I think a
Missions.
travel team out of San Antonio.
They're going to play the Missions.
Yeah,
Let's see how that goes.
So
Missions
down,
are big in the day.
down at Riverside tomorrow. So if you want to go watch, you can. But they need to get on the. They just need to get on the field and knock the
Are
rust
you
off the
going
bats.
to get up in that booth and knock the rust
No,
off?
there's no. It's stripped down. Just these guys are playing, and they're going to open the gates for you to watch.
And there's 7-inning games. A doubleheader, 7-inning games.
We'll start a runner on second every
What are we
just
making?
kidding.
And Brother Man, you're a purist. You go back. In fact, you knew. I think Brother Man, as a student teacher, taught Mr. Doubleday, who invented the fine game of baseball.
Good guy, too.
Yeah, he was a nice kid, wasn't he? And it's a little known fact that Gary said, let's take 2 tests, and it stuck as let's play 2.
Real quickly, Nadal's 20 career Grand Slams, 13 have been at Roland Garros.
Yeah.
There you
Pretty
go.
true.
So here's my what do you make of? Did you watch the Astros this weekend at all?
I did not, but I keep up with scores.
They ended up in the 10th inning, and they did that little, I don't know, girls softball deal where you put the guy on second base.
For softball, it's called the international tiebreaker.
It's just dumb.
Works
But-
for softball, doesn't work for baseball.
Doesn't work for
'Cause I'm a
baseball.
purist.
And the Astros get a guy over, and then of course Yuli Gurriel, 47 years old,
Hustling, just
hustling,
like Roger Federer.
and slid to the outside of the plate. It was beautiful baseball. It was beautiful baseball.
I love it.
But I just wonder about, they're talking about the potential of doing like college does with a 7 inning and 9 inning. When you do the double dip, you would just have a 7-inning game.
Yeah.
The reason I think it makes sense now is because pitchers rarely go more than 5 or 6 innings, but it just seems a little, it's,
You start.
I feel dirty
You start. Do you start?
with a 1-1 count.
Well,
What's
no, yeah.
next?
I mean, we're
What's
getting there.
next?
Coach pitch.
I want to stay like it was.
But
I
you start
agree.
adjusting ERAs to 7 innings instead of 9, because everything's based on 9.
That's right. You don't get that.
The only guy I felt sorry for, Astros win all 4 games this weekend against the Indians, but the only guy I felt sorry for was Lance McCullers Jr. And if you're really watching the game, so he walks a kid, and there's a runner on first, okay, but there's 2 outs, and he's like in the 7th, and the next hitter comes up, and bless his heart, he walked that guy too. And I was sitting there with Dawn, and I said, "Go get him, Dusty." And Dusty comes out and pulls him. And so those 2 runners are his. Well, they bring in this Rayleigh kid who he happens to be an Aggie, but I'm always proud when somebody from Texas makes the big leagues.
Correct.
And he played at A&M, but the fact that he was an Aggie did reveal itself because he gives up a yak that is a 3-run bomb that ties the game. So McCullers is up like 3-0. He's got 2 runners on, but there's 2 outs. We need 1 out. McCullers can get a win. Instead, with 1 swing of the bat, McCullers' day goes away. He picks up 2 earned runs, which hurt his ERA. And Rayleigh's out there looking confused. And then they said that he had 10 starts, and in those 10 appearances, and in those 10 appearances, he had given up runs in 8 of them. This is not good. Now, that kid did rectify that situation on Sunday, I guess. Guy from the Indians tried to bunt. They had the runner on second in the top of the 10th or bottom of the 10th. And Rayleigh goes, catches the bunt in the air, turns, guns it to Correa for the double play.
That was a nice double play.
Very nice plays. And Rayleigh did that on pure athleticism and saved a win for Greinke. No, Greinke didn't get the win either. No, Rayleigh got Rayleigh got a save. Greinke got the
That
win.
was
I
yesterday, I
think.
think, wasn't it?
Yeah, did Greinke get the win?
I don't know.
Boy, they interviewed Greinke. Zach Greinke's an odd duck.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, he's an odd duck when you interview him.
Rich out.
But the Astros have won
35
4
million a year.
Yeah.
I bet he honestly, I bet he lives on $250,000 a year
Probably.
and doesn't even cash his
Somebody
checks.
wanna do that. Bill Lawson.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bill Lawson.
All Bill needed was weed and
Yeah.
comfortable shoes.
Home to take on the A's this week.
But not tonight.
Yeah, starting tonight, I think.
Sweet.
You got some on TV?
Folks, we got to get out of here.
We do.
Stay tuned for the brother.
I think the brother man's here. I'm not sure. Did I see
No,
Ralph
the
come
Hall
in?
of Famer is here. Look, there's
Okay.
his bag and his,
Okay, yeah.
his mic box. So,
Good.
folks, we love you guys, and hats off to all the contestants in the elections. And now
I
let's.
think we're a month to the kickoff of the CFL season.
and that's
So
going
I'm
to
wearing my
really
Cowboys
change people's
championship.
lives.
It will.
Love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye, folks.
Oh.